Hello. Well, first things first, I want to say, you guys have been really, really just, I cannot express the value, the rewarding nature of your words, and I can feel the honesty to it. I can feel, your struggles, because I've struggled through the same things. I'm struggling through the same things. And I've just had an awful fucking go of things over the last little while. I mean, I did just have a rad fucking DMT trip. Wasn't super duper heavy, probably about 20 milligrams. I just wanted to test the water. As I've expressed before, when my immune system's down, I don't know how I'm going to react to a psychedelic, and all the DMT I've done over the last little while is through a cart that is very weak in comparison to freebasing. So I know that was pretty cool, but I'm gonna do it again in a little bit when my tolerance resets. Do the full dose, and I'll talk about that then. But what I want to talk about right now is my utter fucking lack of faith in the medical system. Okay, so I have been seeing the same doctor for 5 years. He is a little gay Japanese dude. Nothing wrong with either of those things, but my God, is he a condescending prick. And fuck, I am just at my wit's end with him. I've spent 5 years gaining his trust, being as honest as I possibly can with him, always telling him what I do. Before the urine, I know I'll do a urine screen a lot of the time, but usually I don't have to because I tell him everything. And you know what this motherfucker said? When I came in there, shaking, twitching, sweating clearly, in a lot of pain from what my pharmacist, quote, said was an aggressive benzo taper. Let alone for someone who already has, autoimmune issues, central nervous system sensitivity, all of that. This motherfucker blamed ketamine for it. And you know what? I have used barely any ketamine for a while now, because I want to cope in healthy ways, and ketamine, pure ketamine, is expensive. It's more expensive than cocaine now. It's ridiculous. And I was expressing to him how I had prided myself on the fact that I went from using benzos and intramuscular shots of ketamine every hour on the hour that went up to about 150 milligrams of R, which, for those of you who don't know, there's two types of ketamine. So R isomer, S isomer. R is the knock you on your ass, fucking K-hole type. S is it's less stoning and more kind of long-lasting and psychedelic. But everyone wants R because that's what you K-hole on. Personally, I like a 50-50 mix of the two. I'm still going to use ketamine every now and then. It's not a bad thing. It was a bad thing to be taking every hour on the hour at fucking ridiculous doses, to the point where my whole body was bruised from injection marks. I've stopped doing that despite feeling even worse. And I explained to him, I didn't start fucking using benzos and ketamine again because I think they're great and fucking so much fun. I did it because I was self-medicating for what this man, who is like revered as one of my city, which, by the way, I've said this before. My city has, it's at the very least in the top 3 most fucking like drug-addled cities in North America. It's extremely dangerous. It's full of like I have to dodge fentanyl smoke when I walk through downtown. I've had to Narcan multiple people. It's unfortunate, and the medical system isn't helping. They're just giving these people fucking clonazepam and Dilaudid now, and being like, hey, use this instead, and then they just sell it and buy more fentanyl. But fucking whatever. I mean, they're getting profits from the drug companies for doing this. But you know what my doctor said to me? I was like, I've used ketamine like twice in the past fucking week or a few days, at least a few days. And at like doses that were like half of what I was taking per hour. I was like, I'm proud of that. And I was like, dude, I've despite feeling shitty, I've maintained my routine of at least an hour of exercise a day. I've been writing more than I ever have. I've been singing and playing the guitar, something I always thought I never could do. And I'm actually confident at now. And he looks at me in the most condescending way, which is something I'm used to. Like, it's really a looking, like, he's a short little guy, but he has a way in his visage, whatever, his countenance, his expression, whatever you want to call it, tomato, potato, fucking, I don't know who calls potatoes, but whatever. You get the point, fucking, I have never fucking encountered a stare that is just so disapproving and just so, just says with his eyes that you are a piece of filth. You are a speck of just scum that I hate the fact I have to deal with. And, and so he had the audacity to say, you know what? I see someone who is the same as the heroin addict who came into my office to begin with. Number one, I wasn't doing heroin when I met him. How I met him was I finally escaped from this terrible institution which was forcefully holding me against my will amongst very dangerous convicts when I was a teenager. And I finally turned 18 and I got tired of them withholding methadone from me every second day, putting me into withdrawal because, like, you're smiling today? You must be high. And I'd be like, fine, I'll take a urine test and show you I'm fucking not. And then I did, and they'd be like, oh, but it doesn't test for fucking, like, stuff like GHB. We have to send it to the labs and wait for the results. Which would take 2 days, so I would go through withdrawal again and again and again. So I finally was like, you know what? I'm 18. Fuck you guys, I'm out. And they're like, okay, well, you have 24 hours. Like, they were so certain of themselves that I was coming back, and I didn't. I left. As I was in withdrawal, I made a phone call with my phone that was dying to a youth detox center, which was actually an amazing detox center. Like, they'd give you fucking cigarettes, and it was in a safe house in a suburban community. They'd bake cookies for you. It was like the only part of the medical system I have ever encountered that has been terrific, like absolutely terrific. But what wasn't terrific was the 5 days of cold turkey methadone withdrawal from, get this, it was either 140 or 170 milligrams of methadone I was on. Cold turkey for 5 days. I didn't sleep at all. I had about 2 or 3 20-minute naps. that were like just nightmarish beyond, I'm not someone who has nightmares very often. I used to, but like I would have nightmares about the gash from Hellraiser killing prostitutes and junkies for their sins. And like, but despite the pain and everything, I made it through. And the reason it was 5 days is because my doctor was like, well, you gotta be on something. I'll put you on Suboxone. So I went on Suboxone. And needless to say, that didn't help. But, because it would, like, I was still inclined to treat my pain, which wasn't being treated adequately. Something called concurrent disorder, something you think an addiction specialist would understand, which, if you don't know, concurrent disorder is, and it's understandable if a layperson doesn't know, but, an addiction specialist who's training 24 fucking clinicians to practice, like, per fucking year, he doesn't understand what it is, which is essentially that the reason a lot of people become addicts and use drugs is because they have underlying issues, be it mental health, pain, chronic pain, both, that are not receiving adequate treatment. So, at the time, heroin was what gave me some modicum of relief. But then, because I was on Suboxone, I would go into precipitated withdrawal, and the only thing that could cut through precipitated withdrawal was fentanyl. So, that was the few times I used fentanyl. But, so, just to go back to my experience with him, he said that me using ketamine and taking like week-long breaks and stuff on my own accord, despite the amount of pain I was feeling, was tantamount to me fucking back when I was doing fentanyl and shit. Like, what kind of thing is that to fucking say to an addict, former addict, whatever? I always see myself as someone who, like I've never had an inkling of a desire to use opioids again. I see the damage it does all the time around me in my city. I don't have a fucking smidgen of desire to do it. I see myself kind of like Philip Seymour Hoffman, the possibility to relapse and go down that spiral again, hit rock bottom for the fucking 1000th time, is possible. It's always possible. So I always got to be careful. I've expressed this to him so many times, but he doesn't seem to ever remember anything I say to him. And I spent fucking, because I only get to see him once every 2 months. Spent that 2 months, terrible benzo withdrawal, trying to get through to him, being like, dude, fucking slow this down. My pharmacist was even faxing him over and over and over again, being like, stop fucking dropping his dose every 2 weeks. This is fucking, this is killing him. I was not far from a seizure. I could tell just by how spasmodic I was. So, of course, this fucking little, just duplicitous, deplorable fucking human being, pathetic excuse for a human being, who is my doctor. Fuck you. If you see this, Todd, fuck you, dude. You are a shitty doctor, and if you have any semblance of fucking humility, should resign from your position, because you're doing more damage than good. Because you know what? All you fucking care about is covering your own ass and liability. And you know what else this motherfucker, had the audacity to say? Another thing he had the audacity to say. Fucking, if you want treatment, because I was like, I had to explain to him what concurrent disorder was, why I was doing ketamine. It's not because I fucking super enjoy it. Like high doses of R-ketamine, it's not, like, R isn't super visual, it's not super interesting to me. It gets interesting if I'm on a psychedelic, and it enhances it. Then it gets interesting, but I'm not doing it for fun. I wasn't doing it for fun. I was doing it to cope. I, was and am well aware of the unhealthy nature of that. Hence why I was being honest and taking accountability for that. But also being like, hey, on the flip side, isn't it good that I have, like, immensely cut down on that to the point of barely using it at all unless I, like, really, really need it. And even when I do it, I get about 20% of reprieve from my symptoms, not entire like remedies. And so he was like, if you want treatment, we could send you back to, insert the center I was forced to go to as a teenager that traumatized the ever-living shit out of me, that I still have, like, PTSD flashbacks to. Like, I'm talking fucking, coming across people who had hung themselves, being in a room next to a former African warlord who was like 7'1.5" and fucking killed people with machetes, buck naked. I saw him brutally fucking stomp someone once. Like, it was a place of mass torment, mania, and suffering. And for someone who wasn't actually insane and who was less than half the age of anyone there, except for the one girl I dated who was, I believe, 7 or 9 years older than me, something like that. It was terrible. And so I was like, dude, do you have fucking any awareness of what we talk about over the 5 years I've seen you? Because I've told you about this motherfucker. I didn't say motherfucker because I was trying, to be civil with him. But he was like, oh, the conditions are better. And I was like, dude, are you fucking listening? I didn't say I want mental health treatment. I said I want to find out why I'm experiencing such tremendous chronic pain. Because the reason I started using benzos and ketamine so heavily, again, not because I wanted to, it was because there was an immense surge in my chronic pain. And it was the only way I could get through working, 11 hours a day, 6 days a week. Fucking not scream from the pain I was experiencing. And I was like, dude, I want to make sure that, like, I don't have a motor neuron disorder or anything. Like, that's what I want. I want fucking people to treat me, or to teach me healthy means of coping. Because if I've learned anything, it's not that drugs are the ultimate fucking remedy. It's distraction that takes away the pain the most. Of course, he continues to chastise me, fucking deflect any accusation of malpractice that I lobbed at him, and just go back to, oh, you're abusing ketamine. How can we tell what's going on when your neurochemistry's all fucked up? I'm like, dude, do you even know how ketamine works? It doesn't affect your serotonin, your dopamine, or anything like that. It's an NMDA receptor. Fucking, it basically, what it does is it cuts off your brain from the rest of your body, so you're essentially like, fucking just swimming in your subconscious if you're fully K-holed. It doesn't affect your neurochemistry like that. Yes, it will increase activity in your hippocampus, which is a good thing if you have depression. Personally, I don't find release from my depression from ketamine. A lot of people do. If that works for you, great. I was using it for pain. Pain management. And I was like, doc, dude, I quit smoking like a dozen times over the last 6 months, at least, and I am smoking like a pack a day, and I can't afford this. I am fucking broke. I am broke. I'm beyond broke. I can't afford to ketamine even. Like, fuck. Yeah, he was like, smoking what? Smoking a pack of what? And I was like, what the fuck do you think? Cigarettes! What does he do? Deflects. Once again, back to the ketamine. I know we have this healthcare system in my country. It's touted as being doing the best in the world because it's free. Well, you know what? Maybe free, but you pay for it. You pay for it, not with money. You pay for it with your life. And you know what? My province has one of the most fucked up approaches to mental health. Like, if you get arrested by a cop or you do anything to arouse the suspicion of a cop, they can go, hey, we don't want to do the paperwork on you. We're just going to dump you in the psych ward. And then you're stuck in the psych ward for a month. Like, it's fucked. It is fucked. And these psych wards, I can attest, this is no conspiracy theory, I've seen it with my own eyes. They would not let people leave unless they paid $2,000 to get an antipsychotic shot. So, I spent a month there, surrounded by people locked off because of COVID quarantines in a single hallway with people who are constantly manic, and this mania would cause this domino effect where it would make everyone else manic, and all of a sudden fucking trays are being thrown, people are hitting old ladies and shit like that, and nurses are doing nothing. So it was up to me and the only other guy who is like relatively sane, an amazing guy, suffered tremendous depression, unfortunately, to stand up for this old lady who was being abused by this little fucking shit from Taiwan who had rich parents, and his parents were obviously paying off the hospital because they were letting him grope women, and I was going up to them and being like, look at what he's doing. Look at this. This is unacceptable. I got mad because you guys were like, oh, we have a present for you. And they showed me my clothes, which were all fucking torn apart. And I got mad and I threw them on the ground and I'm like, God damn it. And they came up to me and with a bunch of pills, and they were like, you have to take these, or we're injecting you and we're throwing you in the quiet room. And in the quiet room was a guy who was slamming his head against the door 24/7 for weeks on end, day and night. It was fucking awful. But if someone came in there who was psychotic and they paid for that shot, they would let him out immediately, even if they were still psychotic. It was criminal. It was just like incomprehensibly fucking immoral and fucked up what they were doing. And what I'm expressing to you is just an inkling, just an iota of the immense trauma I have just ineluctably sustained because of this, because of what has been forced against me. Like, literally my civil liberties are violated. Like, I've always been into firearms. I've always been a responsible user of firearms. Always had access to firearms. If I wanted to blow my fucking brains out, I would have done it a long time ago. But I did my PAL. I passed the test with flying colors, despite having pneumonia the day I did it. And you know what? Because I have major depression, I can't own a firearm. And I didn't want a pistol or anything. I could have done the extra day and gotten I can't remember what they call it, but the part of your PAL that allows you to own a handgun. I didn't want that. I just wanted a rifle to do some plinking with, like a cheap SKS or Mosin Nagant or something. Because many of my friends are hunters, and you know, they love it. They get reprieve from it, and these are people who have gone through tremendous suffering themselves, and they've found passion in that. Not that I want to go out necessarily and kill innocent animals, but like, I would, you know, I'm not against fucking, you know, plinking, you know, shooting a couple innocent beer cans. And I've expressed this to them, but, you know, they won't let me do it anyways. And you know what? I can't travel because fucking I have this ball and chain called methadone and benzo addiction. So, you know what? The onus is on them. I take full responsibility, like I expressed to him, for fucking, you know, not abusing ketamine, but taking ketamine in excessive doses because I was just in a state of sheer desperation. I expressed that, and you know, like, I regret being honest with him now. Like, this guy is a motherfucker, and he does not deserve to treat anyone. If he treats any of his patients the way he treats me, and I've seen his patients are in the lobby fucking like nodding out on fentanyl, like on the verge of an overdose, or the other half of his patients are trans. He clearly cares about them, but he does not give a fuck about people who are like suffering from, I don't mean to discredit trans people out there, but you know, I personally, I know a lot of trans people. A lot of them are great. A lot of them are, you know, amazing people, and I respect them. I use their pronouns and all that. But a lot of the time, in his office, the trans people I see are in their like mid-40s, and they look fucking miserable. They were probably just desperate people who thought, if I do this, I am reinventing myself. I know people who are, well, I mean, I have met people, you know, I had no inclination to hang out with them, but I know people who, you know, were almost run out of town because they sexually assaulted someone or ripped a bunch of people off, and then they just were like, fuck it, I'm gonna gender swap, so if anyone fucking tries to do anything against me, it's transphobia. And I think that is, you know, just the height of cowardice. Like really. And I think it's like fucking wrong to be giving kids fucking puberty blockers and stuff like that, you know? Like, let them grow up and make that decision for themselves. But hey, you know what? If you say a single fucking word that's construed as transphobic in my clinic, they will fucking refuse to treat you. That they don't care if that means you're no longer getting, you know, in my case, methadone, benzos, and you know, that for me would mean seizure and death. They don't care. They don't care. A single word that's transphobic, you know, it is a death warrant for you. Like, it's so ass backwards, and it is like, in my province, the main place that treats trans people has been shown to be a huge source of revenue for the medical industry. And I think, like most things, that's what's driving that trend. Again, no disrespect to trans people. You know, you're not an asshole until I get to know you. Last encounter I had with a trans person, I didn't even know this fucking guy was trans. He looks just like a guy. He's at my friend's house. He asked her out. This guy was drunk, obnoxious, rude as fuck. And he asked her out. She said no. This pissed him off. So he was calling up all his exes, calling them the nastiest things I ever heard someone say to another woman, calling them cunts and stuff like that for, not agreeing to come over and fuck him or whatever. And this dude, I gave my friend a bag of mushrooms that was like a gram that a dealer just gave me for free, because my friend just only takes very small amounts. And this dude ate half a fucking cap of mushrooms and then was fucking blaming all his behavior on the mushrooms. And I was like, dude, you took them 5 minutes ago. You're drunk. You drank at least a 12-pack. Your behavior is the problem. And he was like, you have an accent. And I was like, what are you implying? And he was like, you say you're from East Van, huh? And I'm like, yeah, I grew up 2 blocks from here. My whole life. I just moved to North Van 6 months ago. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah, why would I fucking lie about that? And he was like, he starts questioning my street creds. And so I fucking rip my fucking shirt off and I show him the fucking scars on my arms from all the times I've been fucking stabbed. The fucking marks I have from all the needles that have gone into my veins. I mean, and I look him in the eyes, I'm like, my scars would fucking disagree with you. And so me and my buddy, my fucking homie, my he's pretty much my best friend. He's a taller, fucking more intelligent, more humble version of me. He's a really big dude. He can really fuck people up if he wants to, but he's also a gentle giant. Me and him were having very, very in-depth discussions while my friend was kind of freaking out that she had this guy in her house and she was tripping, and she was texting me the entire time, just fucking sharing her trepidation. And so me and my buddy, despite talking, we had our heads on a swivel, and so we leave, and this motherfucker is like, I'm gonna drive home, and he passes out, and my friend, for obvious reasons, does not want this guy staying at her place. So I was like, do you want me to wake him up? And she was like, please do, I don't want to do it. And I was like, yep, I understand. So I go up and I just kind of jab him in the shoulder a couple times. I'm like, dude, you gotta wake up, you gotta go. And then he starts getting all combative and shit. And I was like, dude, you need to leave. And I had to go because, I have such bad insomnia that if I don't sleep in my own bed, I won't sleep at all. So me and my buddy leave, and I say to my friend, I'm like, if there are any problems, if this motherfucker tries to get behind the wheel, tell us immediately and we will be there in a flash. And we get to the bus stop that's 2 blocks away. Text her, and she's like, oh, it's all good. She first said she's trying to get behind the wheel, and I'm like, to my buddy, I'm like, dude, he's trying to get behind the wheel. We gotta go out there. We gotta go back there, and we gotta hold him down until a fucking Uber comes or something. And then she's like, no, it's okay, they're gone. And so I think, oh, an Uber picked them up. Well, I find out the next day that he drove very, very drunk, and it pissed me off so much to know that. I would have gone and smacked the fucking shit out of this idiot. I don't care if he put his own life in jeopardy. This guy, fucking they, them, whatever the fuck. I didn't know they were trans until after the fact. But I don't care. If you're gonna drive drunk and put the lives of others in jeopardy, fuck you. Especially if you're gonna be a fucking vile misogynist to the people around you. Fuck you 1,000 times over. But yeah, no, anyways, like, I'm just trying to express that, you know, just because someone is trans does not mean they're a good person. But like with any individual, you know, even cops, military, government workers, you know, I may not like them as a whole, but, innocent until proven otherwise. Meaning, I will get to know you, and if you're an asshole, well, hey, I will fucking treat you with the same amount of disrespect you're treating me with. If you're a nice person, you're a nice person, regardless of your fucking profession or your choice to identify as this or that. So I just felt like fucking, expressing these things here and there. But yeah, on a more positive note, thank you very much fucking for all the your words. I cannot begin to express my gratitude for. You guys have been immensely kind, and yeah, it's very touching. And for all of you who are suffering as well, like, I am so sorry. I really wish you didn't have to, because I know what it's like. I mean, I don't know your situation specifically other than what you've told me, but I'm here for you guys because, you know what, as I said in one of my responses, the public doesn't care about addicts. They don't care about people with mental health issues unless they know someone personally who has, say, died of fentanyl or killed themselves because of major depressive disorder. It's just like with COVID, fucking with the anti-maskers. They don't fucking stop until someone they know dies. It's just dangerously stubborn and reckless, and it is doing all of us who are suffering in the worst ways possible really no favors. And it's the medical system is clearly driven by profit and nothing more, and they are perpetuating this opioid epidemic, which, especially in my city, is killing far more people than COVID on a regular basis. They're just kind of fueling the fire, and it's a shame. It really is, because there are so many resources that could be used for good, but they're not. What else can I say? It's a fucking shame. It's a shame. Yeah, but this video, at least, where I'm going with this, is a good segue into what I want to do with my fucking life, because despite all the fucking pain and misery I've experienced over the last little while, I have a renewed desire for what I want to do with my life, it's to expose just the evil that's hidden in plain sight in the Western world, like just the awful shit the CIA has done, and the fact that the military industrial complex is what matters more than anything else. Matters enough to kill a fucking president, JFK, fucking, because he was hurting their profits, their fucking war on communism. Yeah, right. Fucking, that was just what they sold to the public. The fact that, fucking like Panama Papers, fucking Trump's campaign, and his his financial advisor that he appointed, being someone who was helping the elite to evade taxes and to get their money onto offshore accounts. It's beyond corrupt, and this is why inflation is worse than it's ever been, and why the government has changed the definition of recession into something more palatable and not as fucking bad as recession actually is. It's it's this whole Western idea of fucking, freedom, you being able to do whatever you want to do, be whoever you want to be. It's all a crock of fucking shit and misinformation, disinformation. COINTELPRO, COINTELPRO, look it up. It's, there's been tons of declassification on stuff that's happened in the past, and it's not like it's ever stopped. The mob's interest meant more to the CIA than the public's interest, that's for sure. That's why they spent so much time trying to fucking kill Castro and, having immense casualties as a result and wasting fucking crazy amounts of taxpayer dollars in over 600 unsuccessful assassination attempts. I'm not saying Castro's a good guy. Both him and Che Guevara are fucking hideous psychopathic murderers. I'm not saying communism in what we've seen in examples with Mao, Stalin, and all that is good. It's just, it's just two evils. Their evil was more overt. It was, let's balance fucking our budget with lead, or sending someone to a gulag, because that allows us to keep the money we would have to spend on reform or whatever for ourselves. Whereas in the West, the evil is not as overt. It's much more shrouded in, as I said, stuff like misinformation, disinformation, deceiving people into believing false ideas, false prospects about who they can be and what they can do in this life. And I would argue that is like a more premeditated form of evil, and I want to expose that in my life. I believe I have a duty to expose that, because people need to know that everything they've been told is a lie. I'll leave it at that. Anyways, fucking, you guys are rad. Love you all. Keep fighting the good fight.